All right, guys, week 6 waiver wire is here, and CMC is down. He is down, Jim. He is down to Chinatown.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't seem like it's a bad injury. It's an oblique injury. I think he's going to be fine. But a ton of injuries, man. I mean, Justin Fields out. Who else? Oh, David Montgomery out. There's just, it's just brutal out there. It's a brutal season happening right now, and it kind of sucks, especially if you got those players.
You're like, Joe, you're celebrating injury. I'm not celebrating injury, actually, Jim. What's happening every single week is like, oh, Joe, you told us no CMC. You told us no CMC. Screw you. CMC is the one you got wrong after Jefferson goes down. CMC's our golden boy. Then he goes down with injury. We're going to have to see how serious it is. Maybe it's probably a week or two max. I don't think it's that serious anyway. But we're going to cover some news here. We're going to talk about how crazy this year has been and some waiver wire pickups at each position. I'm excited to dive in. But before we do, guys, go treat yourself right now to manscaped.com. In my hand, I've got the beautiful Lawnmower 4.0 right here. Groom with style, Jim. You don't have to worry about nicks and cuts. Skin safe technology right here. I've got this, what I use right here is the body buffer here. Great with soap. Clean your body with confidence, guys. They got amazing products. Go treat yourself. Grab the underwear, grab the deodorant, grab the cologne. Amazing products. Manscaped.com. Shower Line 20. Go treat yourself right now to anything on the site. I've linked it below. Amazing products, and I use them daily. Go treat yourself. Shower Line 20 to save on anything on the site. Okay, Jim, are you ready to dive into this? I guess we'll start off maybe with some news here. If there's anything that jumps out, I guess the injury to CMC, like you said, maybe we'll dive in with that first. The Montgomery injury. Again, we don't know how serious and what the lead time is on them coming back, but I think those two are the ones that jump out, right?
Oh, yeah. Those are the two biggest for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Montgomery going down, and then obviously Craig Reynolds is a consideration, which we'll talk to in a second. But hopefully Jahmyr Gibbs comes back and has a good week, but he's out with hamstring too. So people ripping on me on that as well. So other than that, I mean, there's nothing really. I think Trevor Lawrence was nursing a soft knee issue there. I think he's going to be okay. Anything else that jumped out at you? News, Devin Singletary is getting way more work for my liking. And that's the thing. I want to talk about this year. It's been crazy because nobody is safe, even running backs. So take a look at, not only are you like running away from injury, you're actually running away from the guy behind you. Even like a guy like Derrick Henry, who is literally untouchable. He's the king. There's a reason they call him the king. Even a guy like him is getting dipped into in regards to volume with Tajay Spears. So nobody's safe here. Who do you trust this year? It's weird year, man. It really is.
It is. It has been extremely schizophrenic. Scoring among quarterbacks is way down compared to last year. Last year, it seemed like there was multiple guys getting you anywhere from 30 to 40 points a week. Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes. Last week, the number one quarterback only got like 26 points, and that was Tua. Jalen Hurts only got like 18 points. Josh Allen got like 15 points. I mean, it is ridiculous out there what's going on. Very hard to call. And then on top of all that, now we've got bye week 7 coming up, 6 teams on bye this week. There are some critical fantasy players that are going to not be playing this week. We've got Carolina, Cincinnati, Dallas, Houston, the New York Jets, and Tennessee. So there are some gigantic names that are not going to be playing in week 6. Yep. And that's why waivers are so important because, chances are you're going to have some holes in your roster that you need to fill. So these are some options for you.
Yeah, also, before we get into this, I want to talk about the news as well here. Damien Harris went down. Looks like he collapsed on the field. I'm not sure exactly what happened, but I rewatched that run 100 times, okay? It's a shoulder-to-shoulder contact. It wasn't that hard, and now they're saying it's a neck injury. It didn't look like it contacted the neck at all. The good news is when he was coming off the field, he had the thumb up. My weird thing is it's weird. A player goes down, and it's prime time. It's a Bills player, and his initials are DH, just like DeMar Hamlin, Damien. I don't know, man. There's so many weird things here. Is it an attention thing? Is it scripted? I don't know. I don't know. I'm not going to get into the conspiracy aspect of it, but I will tell you this. It was strange, and I just don't think it was a neck injury based on what happened. But the good news, like I said, I'm really happy that when he was carted off the field, He had the thumb up, so hopefully he's okay. Unlike DeMar, where we didn't know what happened there. I just think the
Right.
whole thing was strange. Primetime Bills, ambulance. It just, I don't know, it just kind of strung the wrong chord with me. But again, hopefully he is good to go. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. These guys really put their bodies out on the line out there. They're taking big hits, and these things sort of happen. And even if he wasn't hit in the neck, if you're hit really hard in the shoulder and it torques your neck in a weird direction, you can really hurt yourself. And so yeah, hopefully he will be fine. And whenever it's a neck injury, that's why they had to bring out
Right.
the gurney and the ambulance and stuff. They had to completely immobilize him because of the spinal risk. So that's all precautionary, but still, it's scary. It's
Yeah,
a
but
it's
when
a
you look
scary
at
hit.
it, the hit didn't look like anything. Like if you again, sometimes it's weird, but it looked like a shoulder to shoulder, and the guy hugged him on his way down. Everything looked stable. It looked like it's just a normal routine hit. Now I watched it in slow mo multiple times, and maybe in full speed it looks a little bit different, but very very
Yeah,
strange, very strange.
yeah. But
But I had to cover that
anyway,
with the news because I didn't. We were talking about news. That was a big thing that I didn't talk about. When I was mentioning.
right.
All right, so why don't we start off with quarterbacks here? Waiver wire pickups. I mean, with quarterback, like I say, accurate team of the day's quarterback, yada yada. I mean, the only one that kind of jumped out for me that I was seeing because I was going through is Malik Willis. Is there anyone else? Because with Tannehill going out, is there anyone else that jumped out at you?
Yeah, I can't say I would be thrilled to pick up Malik Willis. I mean, yeah,
That's it.
he's not that good. But I was just looking at who's on the waiver wire that might be a possibility. Sam Howell is only 38% rostered. He had a pretty good week this past week. Derek Carr is another name that should be pretty good for next week. And then the third one is I just don't even like saying his name, but Desmond Ritter is also someone that you can get off of the
The
waiver wires.
Riddler.
Yeah, I've just would not be thrilled about getting that guy. But there are a couple options here if you don't have a decent backup quarterback.
The
And
good
there are
old
a lot of
Riddler.
quarterbacks out right now, so it's a problem.
I think everything's a problem. Like I said, what an unorthodox year. And again, you've got big names going down this year. J.K. Dobbins,
Mhm.
which I saw, but Nick Chubb, I mean, he was primed for a big year. You got CMC minor injuries. You got Eckler out for the first half of the season. You got Jefferson out. You got Deontay Johnson, who was a wide receiver, one on his
Yeah,
team out.
Aaron Jones.
Oh my God, Aaron
Yeah.
Jones. It's just been like that type of year. So
Mhm.
I gotta say this, man. I've never said this before. I mean, I always think that it really is a skill based game for fantasy. I think this year is like it's a luck thing. It's like if you got a team that's healthy and playing, you're good. Because we were talking about this before the show. Like some of the most consistent players are players that were not even drafted or just like not even high on the ADP, like Adam Thielen and like Kyron Williams, who's been pretty consistent, right? Like it's
Right.
been absolutely one of those years been absolutely crazy. I can't explain how crazy it is, honestly.
Yeah, it has been nuts, and I always say there's always the luck component in fantasy football. You gotta just be have the good luck that you don't have your players getting injured. But even so, it has just been an absolute minefield. I mean, I was looking at the first round players that were selected, and like half of them have been out.
Yeah.
And it's just like brutal. I mean, it's like how can you be asked to compete with that? So,
No, it's hard.
yeah, it's tough.
So just to recap, Desmond Ritter, Sam Howell, Derek Carr, Malik Willis, if you're absolutely desperate. Let's move on to running backs here. Who are we picking up off the running back? And I put him right on the cover art here. If CMC stays up for a long, long period of time, I don't think it's going to be that long, but Jordan Mason, I mean, he was the guy, 5.4 yards per carry, got a touchdown, 27 yards. I think he had about 5 attempts, give or take. Elijah Mitchell ran, I think, a couple times, -3 yards. Looks like Jordan Mason's the guy here if you're going to replace CMC, right? What are you feeling?
Yeah, I mean Elijah Missile, that guy
Mitchell.
hasn't been able to stay healthy for like 2 years. So, yeah, I mean, you could definitely take a dart throw with him. For me, the ones I was looking at, Chuba Hubbard, who's only like 59% rostered in leagues.
Choop, choop,
He
choop, choop, chuba, choop, choop, chuba. I always say that.
Yeah, well, I mean, Miles Sanders out with an injury, and yesterday he got 19 touches and 1 target. That's good enough to start, man. That's a really healthy amount of volume there. Of course, actually, I just realized this: they are out this next week, so they're not someone who's going to be able to help you in week 7, but that is possibly someone that you could have for week 8. Some of the other names I was looking at, we have Gus Edwards, who got 16 touches and a target. Deonta Foreman, who got 15 touches and a target. Let's see here. Kareem Hunt, 12 touches and 3 targets. He actually
Kareem
looked
Hunt's
pretty
coming
good
back.
yesterday.
Yeah, he's coming back.
Yeah, and he's only like 36% rostered, so he's someone that you can get. Latavius Murray last night got 12 touches, which isn't enough really for me to want to start him, but that's certainly a desperation start if you need him. Savin Ahmed of Miami, we've got multiple injuries happening. Jeff Wilson's out, as well as Achan. So Savin Ahmed, he got 6 touches and 5 targets. 5 targets, very nice if you got a PPR league. And then Jerick McKinnon, who got 0 touches, did get 5 targets on his game on Thursday night for the Kansas City Chiefs. So those were some names that I was looking at that I would consider trying to make a bid for.
It's crazy. We talk about waiver wire 1 week wonders, right? Like a guy that I ended up spending some of my FAAB budget on is Imari DeMarcado, and 2 attempts.
And he didn't do anything. I was like,
I'm the one who's always preaching, and I've always been good about like avoiding 1 week wonders. But like this was the guy they plug and played with the Connor injury, and then in he comes, and then out of nowhere. And I have not followed Arizona Cardinals. I have 0 Arizona Cardinals stock. I don't like the team. I don't care for the team. And I looked, and I was looking at the volume on who was getting, and Damien Williams was, dude, Damien Williams, I thought he was completely out of the league. Like I had no idea. And then this is what I mean. It's one of those crazy years where it's like Damien Williams was a viable flex start at, like, if you were desperate. Like, who would have thunk it? Like, nobody thought about it. He wasn't on any waiver wire picks. No one was talking about him. And I thought he was done. Like, I thought, like, years ago he was done. Like, he always thought he sucked as a running back. But I can't believe this guy was playing yesterday. I don't know.
Yeah, I know. And the DeMarcado thing, I made a lot of big bids for DeMarcado, got outbid in all my leagues. And I'm like, wow, I guess I really dodged a bullet on that one, man. I just can't make heads or tails of that offense. But certainly Damian Williams might be another one to look at to add to your league if you need some running back help, which a lot of people do.
Yeah. So I think, again, like I said, the only ones that jump out at me are Jordan Mason, Craig Reynolds, Kareem Hunt, Shuba Hubbard. But again, I think with Gibbs coming back, if depending on how long Montgomery's out, I mean, I don't know. I don't trust this coach. I really don't trust Dan Campbell. I think he's going to use, even if like Montgomery's out, I think they're going to piss off Jahmyr Gibbs and use Craig Reynolds more. Like, I don't know if they're going to use Gibbs as a true workhorse as they should, which I think he's totally capable of doing. I don't know, man. I just don't like what's going on there with the running back situation. Even with Montgomery.
It is a tough situation, and Gibbs is dealing with a hamstring injury that can linger. We might not see him back till after their bye. I don't know. But even so, even if he was coming back this week, coming off the hamstring injury, I'd be very reluctant to start him. I need to see some more usage out of the guy. It's
tough.
Craig Reynolds is the running back, right? There's 2 Reynolds on that team, and I always get him confused.
Yeah, Craig.
So that would definitely be another one to look at.
It's been crazy. It's been that type of year. Okay, so again, one more thing I got to talk about is Bijan. Again, I'm still seeing Algier. It's a split. It's a direct 50-50 split when we know clearly that Bijan's the better running back. It's one of those years where I just want to throw this mic across the room because it just pisses me off. Like, I can't believe you spend a first overall pick on a guy and he's splitting with a guy that was drafted a 3rd or 4th round. Even though he's a 1,000-yard rusher, he's still not the better back. Play your better back. And they lost. It's catching up to them. The Falcons lost yesterday. And
that was the most frustrating thing, was seeing Algier out there in the 4th quarter when they're trying to come back. It's like, dude, get Bijan, get your best players on the field and play them to try to win this game. And they didn't do it, And
I think Falcons fans, I think they're turning on Smith because, again, they have playbook write-ups for Geno Smith, but not for their best wide receiver and their RB1. It makes 0 sense, okay? Again, it's just bad play calling, bad coaching. It's just, I don't understand what's going on.
And don't forget the bad quarterback. There's also a bad quarterback there. So that's also severely limiting what this team can do.
Yeah. Speaking of bad
But
quarterbacks, Zach Wilson, though. Zach Wilson beating the Eagles. I mean, this should have been front and center news at the beginning of this episode. How crazy is that?
it is crazy. The Jets have looked better, right? They've actually looked like contenders, and they've won what, 2 of their past 3. So maybe they've just kind of figured out this is what Zach Wilson can do, and let's not ask him to do any more than that because he can't do that. So, but Bijan had another good game. I'm sorry, not Bijan. Excuse me, Brees had another great game. But of course, now that all that momentum stops because they get the week off. So we're not going to see him for another 2 weeks.
All right, let's move on to wide receiver here. Who do we got here at wide receiver that we should be picking up?
Well, the number 1 wide receiver from this past week that I saw was Kendrick Bourne of the New England Patriots, only rostered in 17% of leagues. He got 11 targets this past weekend, which is amazing. That's really good. And nice to see that New England was actually able to move the ball, even though they still lost. But
surprise.
Yeah, big surprise. They still lost. But maybe this is Belichick's plan, because he knows that he's not going to get a decent quarterback unless he gets like a top 3 pick. And so now he's just deliberately tanking the team with bad offensive play calls, and going to grab one of those top tier quarterbacks in the draft this next year, and then the team will be fine. Who knows? But let's hear some other names that were out there. Josh Downs of the Indianapolis Colts, who looks really, really good. Man, I got to say, one of the better rookies out there. Only 33% rostered. He got 8 targets this past weekend, as did Wan'Dale Robinson of the New York Giants, who got 8 targets as well. He's only 18% rostered. And then some other names. I liked Rondale Moore, Elijah Moore, Tyler Boyd, who's actually off this next week, and Trey Palmer all got 7 targets this past week. Those are all guys you can get off the waiver wire. But Tyler Boyd is not playing in week 7. So
I think Boyd got a touchdown too. And again, Higgins just showing you what a disappointment he is yet again. I mean, this is what I'm talking about. Wide receiver 2s being drafted around 2 to 3. Just don't do it. Just
right. But truthfully, the whole team was terrible. Yeah. The offense was terrible again this past week. I don't know what's going on, man. I mean, again, we're talking one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and he just can't seem to get it done this year. Hopefully the week off will help heal up that thigh bruise he's been dealing with, and maybe he'll get back to form. But, Jamar Chase also extremely disappointing this year.
Yeah, mediocre at best. All right, moving on. Let's get some tight end here. Tight end pickups. The only one that jumped out in Michael Mayer coming alive. 5 receptions, 6 targets, 75 yards. Michael Mayer was the guy that jumped out at me. Geno Smith for me, I've got him on my list. And Brenton Strange, but that's very touchdown dependent from Jacksonville. Getting some unnecessary volume that should be going to a guy like Calvin Ridley. But
exactly.
Brenton Strange. Isn't that strange?
That is strange. He should go get his doctorate. Then he could be Dr. Strange.
That's true. Yeah, I never thought of that. Not Brendan, Brenton with an O, Strange. And again, getting some unnecessary work there for Jacksonville. Very, very shameful. Very shameful.
Well, I mean, there were several touchdowns that went to guys that I had never heard of before this past weekend. I'm like, who the hell is that guy, right? I don't really look at those players. Again, I'm mostly concerned with the volume. A couple other names that I want to bring up: Dalton Schultz, who's only rostered in 50% of leagues right now, got 7 targets. Of course, it's Houston. They're not playing in week 7, but I thought that's a good pickup for going forward if he's available, for week 8 on. And then a name I just don't like to say his name, but we got to bring it up. Taysom Hill of the New Orleans Saints got 8 targets this past weekend, and I hate Taysom Hill.
Yeah.
He's the guy. You just absolutely cannot trust him in any situation outside of best ball.
He's a pest. So another guy, the WTF, this guy from Iotios.
Yes.
From, the Bengals wide receiver got a touchdown. I was like, what the F? I actually posted that on my story on Instagram. I'm like, who is this guy? Number 80, just look him up on the Bengals. I'm like, not Jamar Chase, not even Boyd, who's a bottom feeder, not Higgins, but this Iotavis guy. I don't even know. I'm not even going to know his name because it doesn't even matter. Yeah.
Right, exactly. You'll never hear from him again. He just had that one touchdown. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But
Just every year it's been.
yeah. And, the final thing, regarding defenses this year for streaming defenses, there actually are some really good matchups this week. If you need a defense, I'm going to go over them right now. We've got Las Vegas is at Chicago, Cleveland is at Indianapolis, Washington is at the New York Giants, and the Rams have Pittsburgh at home. Seattle has Arizona at home, and Green Bay is at Denver. So I think there's some really good options here for
Yeah.
streaming defenses if you're looking for someone for week 7.
Well, there you have it, guys. Try to keep it simple. Waiver wire week 7 covered here, each position, covering some latest news, notes, injuries here for you. It's been a crazy week. Like I said, I want to end this on like what an unorthodox year it's been. Like I said, again, even for 16 rounders, where I actually get pretty solidified rosters where I've never run into major issues. This year has been just a weird year where guys that were drafted in the first round, like first overall, moved up to picked up, are being benched. I mean, this is something I've heard unheard of because I go back, let's go back to when Zeke was drafted. I think that year, I think it was like a DeMarco Murray or Darren McFadden, one of those guys coming off like 1,000-yard rushing season. In comes rookie Zeke, who was drafted with high draft capital, immediate plug and play workhorse, right? Now
Right.
it seems like everybody wants to get away from the workhorse running back. Even a guy as good as Breece Hall, now he's starting to get volume finally. They bring in Dalvin Cook. I mean, it seems like every situation has been jaded. And another thing that really got to me, not only is it Tajay Spears and Derrick Henry thing, but another thing that got to me is Jonathan Taylor, Zach Moss coming in and hoarding away a goal line carry from Jonathan Taylor. I mean, it's so hard to watch. I have no words.
Yeah, exactly. The Zach Moss thing to me is just a complete mystery. Is how's this guy just completely sucked his entire career, and he goes to Indianapolis and he
Yeah.
just becomes like this world beater. I mean, like how in the world is he that good when we saw nothing at Buffalo year after year after year? And so that's just throw me for a loop. But yeah,
Unheard of.
again, Moss got a way more volume than he should have this past week with Taylor, basically coming back. Taylor should be taking 70% of that backfield, and he's not yet.
70
And
should
that's
be
very
100,
frustrating.
100, maybe 90. Let me take a look here. I mean, what did he have? 8 attempts for Taylor, 7 for Matt Moss. It was like a split, dude.
Yeah.
And Moss got the
And
touchdown. I was scoring him.
right. And they paid Taylor. Taylor's the one that got paid. It's like, geez, use the assets that you paid for. I mean, come on. Why did you pay him $15 million a year to be in a 50-50 split with Zach Moss?
I don't get it, man. I don't
I
get
don't
it.
either.
So this is the NFL that we're in this year. And again, it's almost kind of like they're doing it on purpose or something. I don't get it.
Well, the workhorse running back is definitely going the way of the dinosaur, man. It's just not a thing anymore. And I think it's because, if you only have one guy and he gets hurt, then you're really screwed as far as your running game goes. And so all these teams have now rostering multiple backs to help prevent that from happening. And
How'd this happen before? I guess is the NFL tougher now? It's not tougher. I think they used to be tougher back then. I mean, you got guys like Emmitt Smith, Thurman Thomas back in the day, Adrian Peterson, workhorses that were fine for many years.
yeah, I mean, that is true. But again, these severe. I think the
I don't
guys are
know.
bigger now than they used to be. I mean, as far as like the defensive linemen and all that, and you've got these 300-pound guys running into you at full speed. That can cause some damage.
And they're
I mean, it's
faster. They are faster. I think everything leveled up. Performance, right? Performance training has leveled up, and these guys
yeah.
are moving. They're 300-pound guys moving like they're 100 pounds. It's crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so they're no longer lumbering. They are quick.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, again, it's just the nature of the game. The analytics talk about the inefficiencies of running backs, especially running backs involved in the passing game versus a wide receiver in the passing
Yeah.
game.
Yeah.
All that sort of stuff. It's obviously a much more pass happy league. But yeah, I mean, the football's changing, man. It's evolving. So it's changing into it's things are not being done the way they used to be done anymore.
No,
So
everything's changing. All right,
Yeah.
Jim. Well, thank you. Week 7 waiver wire, guys. Make sure you guys subscribe, thumbs up, and drop some questions below. We'll try to get to as many as we can. Thanks, Jim, for coming on, man. We appreciate you.
Thank you. Good luck in week 7, everybody.
Thanks. We'll talk soon. Bye.